Om Shanti. Bhagavan in the 18th shloka of this Sutra Yogas, he says, Virama pratyayam abhyasa purvaha samskara sheshobhyaha. Virama pratyaya abhyasa purvaha samskara shesho anya. Asamprajnaata samadhi or seedless state is reached when all mental activities ceases. Virama pratyaya. With what? Abhyasa purvaha ceases, and only unmanifested impression, samskara sheshu, remains. Impression remain in the mind. Samskara sheshu anyaha. Samskaras remain. Samskara in the sense, here the samskara means what? Unmanifested impressions, that is samskara. Asamprajnaata samadhi or seedless samadhi is most clearly grasped if there is an understanding of the 7 bhumikas. He has explained this Asamprajnaata samadhi to make one understand. Divided them into 7 portions so that one can really get the structure of Asamprajnaata samadhi. The stages of consciousness. What are these? These are the stages of consciousness. 7 stages of consciousness. This I used to talk, I think, since ages. The 7 levels and all 7 stages, 7 vibrational planes, and things like that. So everywhere it is 7, which lead to self-realization. When you cross this, then only you realize the self. So, various levels, various people have interpreted in various words these levels, but everything is saying these 7 levels. 7 planes, 7 talas, 7 planes. These 7 planes one has to travel, and it is not that one can jump over by any means. There are no shortcuts. You may do anything in your life. You may do anything maximum in your life. You may be a great dani. You may be a great jnani. You may be a great karma yogi. You may be great whatever it is. But unless he has the true jnanam and tapasya and his self-assessment and ascertainment, he will not be in a position to attain this. It's not possible. An individual's effort, nishkalanka, nirlajja, nirvikara, nirahankara bhavam is absolutely necessary for this. Any of this, even a tip of a pin measure is also left, it will be an obstacle. It is not possible. These laws are natural and they cannot be trespassed by any means. There is no way. One has to observe it, one has to study it, one has to observe it, one has to know this jnanam. That is why the jnana margam insists upon knowing things. Knowing in the sense not the knowing what we think, literal meaning of knowing. That means the perception of jnanam has to be there. The inherent quality of jnanam dipped in the jnana where I do not separated by words. Dhyanam is not explainable through words at a point. Today we are talking in words, Vakyartham. The ultimate Dhyanam is that not explainable in words. It is felt, it is experienced, it is anubhavam, anubhuti. That is the Dhyanam. You see, that's what he means about. Unless we reach that status, we will not be in a position to attain that realization. It's not possible. So there are no means or there are no shortcuts for attainment of self-realization. One has to go through that path. When one chooses and one goes through that path without any deviations or doubts in the mind, samshayatma vinashyate. That vinasham will come into him and samshaya comes out. Without any doubts, with total dedication and devotion to that, as has been prescribed, as has been instructed, we can say instructed, because it's an instruction only. Nobody can deviate a particular idea, means it's an instruction. Do this, that's all. Now, no question on that. And there is no doubt or there is no question. There is no trying to understand it, there is nothing there. But that status can come only when you have an absolute faith, an absolute realization of the jnana. An absolute dedication and devotion can only bring you an unquestionable statements, acceptance of unquestionable statements or principles. So they are not statements, just simple statements. They are principles which we do not understand them. So it's better to accept them. This is how one can attain. So this is the gist of the whole realization process. If one is not able to do it or ready to do it, it may take number of janmas. Whatever you do, nothing can favor you to reach that state. Here Swamiji, for the purpose of description, he has divided them into 7 and trying to tell us, there's one school of thought how it can be done. It's okay. Let's see this also. This is the consciousness. This is what they are. They are all consciousness. So we should not think below that consciousness. That means we are thinking only above the 4th layer. That's how it is. Or at the end of 4th layer. We are at the end of 4th layer as far as the studies are concerned. Shubhecha is it. Next one. Shubhecha. We all understand the meaning of it. The literal meaning of it, but we don't know the meaning of it. What is Shubhecha? We will always say that good thought, good behavior, good intention. What is that good intention? What is that good? Afterwards, nobody has translated them. Only up to that. Shubha Ichha. Simple word, very simple word. Shubha Ichha. You can say it was good thought, good behavior, good intention, wishing something good. All these are immediate translations of Shubha Ichha. They are only translations. What is the meaning, I said? These are all, what I said is only translations. Good thought, good behavior, good intention, good, everything good thought, good doing, good doing, and things like that. They are all Shubha Ichha. But what is the meaning of it? What is that Shubham? What is Shubham? The Ichha should be of Shubham. Shubham, ultimate Shubham is that what he is talking about. Because we are talking about consciousness. That's what I said. There cannot be any function of mind there or analysis of mind there. What is Shubham? Shubham is Mangalam. What is Mangalam? Mangalam is that end of everything. When everything is written, suppose an article is written in Sanskrit language, at the end you will write Shubham. Even in our languages we write last mein Shubham. End. What is the end? End should be, somebody said end should be good. What is that good again? That also nobody knows. What is that Shubham? Shubham is that longing for the truth. Satya Avastha, Shubham is what? Wishing good, thinking good, doing good, good intention. That good is to reach the Satya Avastha. Absolute truth. One realizes his state of ignorance and sincerely wishes to acquire spiritual knowledge. Is called Shubha Ichha. Ichha is desire. What is the Shubha Ichha? What should be the best desire that you can have? The best desire that you can have is that acquiring the spiritual knowledge is the Shubha Ichha. Nothing else is Shubha Ichha here. For the fourth layer meditator, or the one who has attained that, in order to attain the Asamprajnaata samadhi, his first requirement is Shubhecha. He should not have, that means, that also indicates there should be no other Ichha. We also described in the earlier stages and earlier portions Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti. Ichha Shakti should be the acquiring of the Brahma Jnanam. Let me qualify it as not only Jnanam. What Jnanam? What is Jnanam? Brahman. Acquiring the Brahma Jnanam or acquiring Brahman is called Shubha Ichha. So Ichha Shakti should be that. Then Kriya Shakti should be all the karmas for the purpose of acquiring that. Jnana Shakti, how to do it, that Jnana, is how he has. No? We can interpret the Shubhecha. So that Shubhecha should be there. When Shubhecha is there, nothing else will be there. See, if a person has got Ichha of acquiring the spiritual Jnanam, none of the other things are important to him. It's not that he doesn't know any other thing or he will not know any other things. He will may be knowing, he knows, he may be knowing further also. But what happens? His priority is stuck, limited to that absolute Jnanam, identifying the absolute Jnanam, understanding the absolute Jnanam. Any pravritti of his, any thought, any karma, any kriya, any bhakti, even let it be bhakti, let it be karma, let it be jnanam, whatever is there, they are all will be meant for directing to acquire jnanam alone, Brahma jnanam alone. Is called Shubhecha. It doesn't have wider spectrum of identifying materialistic knowledge. It's not there. It's only one, knowing of that Brahman. That should be the Shubhecha. Ichha should be firm. Then only the Ichha Shakti will be there. That's called Ichha Shakti. The intense the Ichha is, the intense the desire is. The result also, according to that, depends on that. So the Ichha should be that perfect in the sense, there should be no flaw in that. What is that flaw? Oh, let me acquire Brahmajnanam for this purpose. No. One word, let me acquire Jnanam. I want to acquire Jnanam. That's all. Four is an analysis, four is an interpretation by you. Because if the moment you start interpreting, you fall down from fourth layer to Savitarka Samadhi, the lowermost of that, identifying the material out of it. See? When you start identifying the material, your consciousness doesn't function there. See? The conscious revelation or the self-revelation doesn't. You are only revealing the material identity. How can you reveal the self then? In order to reveal the self, the Ichha Shakti is that to know me. To know me in the sense to know the Brahman. To know the Brahman. To know the Brahman is called the knowledge. Dhyanam. Ichha Shakti should be that Dhyanam which drives you only towards Brahman Dhyanam. Very specific content. This is Asamprajnaata samadhi. There are no choices left. There are no options left. There is no desire for an option in the mind. No, there should not be any. The question of option and things come only when the mind is looking for it. Mind, we have already told on the fourth stage, we have already stopped looking for anything. That's what we have come to, that egolessness status. That ego, which is the qualified ego, unqualified ego, we have described about that. It has become to the unqualified ego. We have to reach the status of unqualified ego. Qualified ego is that there is an ahankara in that qualification of ahankara. Ahankara means qualified ego. When unqualified ego is there, the question of all other things are not supposed to be there or not there. I'm just emphasizing the true meaning of that so that the mind doesn't take another turn on that. Is called Shubhecha. The second stage, he has divided the second as Vicharana. They are all very simple to listen to, but they are all firm convictions of the absolute unqualified Brahman, unqualified ego in you. Vicharana, the right inquiry. What's the right inquiry? One is convinced. That's all. I always used to tell you that. There's no question of, even earlier stages of listening to Upanishad, I told you, don't try to understand. Just accept it. This is what I used to tell you, remember? Don't try to understand is exactly what it is. Vicharana. Vicharana is that. What is that understanding? Vicharana is inquiry, right inquiry, that one is convinced of the worthlessness of the world. Worthless in the sense we immediately classify them as various worthless. It is useless for anything, good for nothing, we call it. Good for nothing. What's the meaning of good for nothing? I used to wonder about this. Probably nobody might have described about it in this world. But at least I have not heard. Because I get crazy ideas now. Not just time pass, okay, you also listen. What is good for nothing? You are good for that nothingness. It's called good for nothing. Shunyata. Why we are calling him good for nothing? Because the man who is in the materialistic state and material world, he is good for nothing of this material, but he is good for nothing. What is nothing? Where there are no things are there, he is good there. If he is good there, who is he? You might not have heard this, no? Maybe it's a new invention. This good for, but we scold. We say good for nothing. Yeah, because he is good for nothing in this world. we say, there are so many people saying that what is the use of Maharishi sitting there? He is good for nothing. Don't tell that. Because no use of him. He is sitting there and he is only meditating. No good for him. So that's what people think. So we say he is good for nothing. He is good. Actually, that's what the real meaning is, that he is good for no thing, but he is good for that. So what I am saying is that one is convinced worthlessness of the world. I said, no, that's why this came to be, in fact. The worthlessness of the world in the sense doesn't mean it is not worth for others or other matters and things like that. Here, worthlessness of the world for the purpose of my attainment of the Brahmajnanam is that has to be understood. It is not worthless for anything. It may be worth for many things. I am not know that. Nachiketa, again I go to Nachiketa's example. He goes he speaks to the Guru, hey Bhagwan. He gives him that all the robe and take this. He says, they are all. What you are talking is that as if they are very worthy. Take that, so many kingdoms, so many years of life, so much of wealth, so many of happiness, so much of this, so much of this. Do you see something? But hey Bhagavan, they are all, indirectly he is telling, they are all worthless to me. Absolutely. And you are speaking as if it is great worth. They are all worthless to me. Same way in Vicharana, in the inquiry in your mind, it should, or in yourself, one is convinced there. It's not that you're trying to understand that. As I told you, these all cannot be understood. How can you understand that it is worthless, the whole world is worthless? You can only say that. You can't even understand it, because it's not possible to understand. Understanding is that through intelligence, through buddhi. Through buddhi, what will you understand? There is all nothing for me. Worthlessness of the world. World in the sense that which you think that's the world. That which you are seeing as the world. That which you are seeing through your eyes, that world. The incidents that is happening is the world. That what is going on, will go on, have gone. All these is the world that you consider them as the world, filled with all other things. But you are convinced now. That means person has reached that fourth layer. He is convinced none of them are not at all interested in anyone. Nachiketa said, I don't need any of them. It's not what I want. I want that path towards that inquiry, Vicharana. Path towards that Bhagavan. Path towards that Ishvara. Path towards that Brahman. I want only that. Nothing else. Just a rough road towards that. A rough path towards that. That's all. A light towards that. Just show me that. Worthlessness of the world and searches sincerely and deeply for the truth is Vicharana. Vicharana is what? Inquiry of a sincere search for the absolute truth. A sincere search is very important. Absolute truth will automatically come when there is a sincere search. What is a sincerity? Dedication and devotion. Sincere, where is the sincerity comes? Dedication. And devotion, where there is dedication and devotion and total faith is called that sincere behavior. Sincere means there is no flaw in my thinking. This is what is the truth. There is no question of I identifying something else as something. No, it is not there. That's what is sincere. A fully convinced of what I am supposed to do, what I am doing. Deeply for the truth, for the Satyavastha. Truth here is not Satyam, it is Satyavastha. Satyam is noun, Satyavastha is status. So there is a difference in that. Satyavastha. Not true state, you can say in cases. It's a status that you are looking for. It's not the truth. It's not an object that you're looking for. Truth looks like, to the ear, it sounds like you're looking for an object. You're not looking for an object. Remember that. You're not looking for the truth. Your vicharana is to be, not looking for. When you're looking for an object. That means you and the object are different. Here we have already reached the Asamprajnaata samadhi. In Asamprajnaata samadhi, I am not looking for anything, because when you are looking for it becomes Dvaita Siddhantam. Here I have already reached the Advaita Siddhantam. In Advaita Siddhantam, I am searching for the status of truth. Satya Avastha. I want to be in the Satya Avastha. I don't want to know the truth. The knower should not be there. The knower has to be merged, diluted into the Avastha. That status has to be there. So reaching that status is called Vicharana. So ultimately Vicharana is what? Right inquiry. One is convinced of worthlessness of the world and searches sincerely and deeply for the truth is written here. That I would slightly can modify for our convenience. Is a deeply for the true status. Satya Avastha. Third is that Tanu Manasa. Tanu Manasa. Tana and Mana. Tanu Manasa is that, here he says it is fading of the mind. This is what he describes. I have already spoke to you in Vicharana about fading of mind, but still we will continue. Fading of mind. The mind loses its taste for objects of the world. This I have already explained just now. There should be no taste. There should be no attraction for it. There's no requirement. That's why example of Nachiketa. Nachiketa said it may be, and then let it be there. I'm not saying it is not there. Let it be there. The happiness, the world, the country, Rajya, Raja, crown, diamonds, Raja, and all. The mindlessness, that means there's no taste for all this. I don't want them all, objects of the world. And becomes intensely immersed in the knowledge of the soul. Intensely immersed in the knowledge of the soul. Satyavastha, in the Jnanavastha, he is sunk in the Jnanavastha totally. In an absolute Jnanavastha, his inquiry as the Vicharana, Tanu Manasa, the mind has faded away. That means in Tanu Manasa, Mana, that means Mana, when Mana is active, then only all these angles of attachment, desire, and Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha is focused on and activated. That Mana is faded away from me. Not only that, we also spoke about the waves of the thought which are coming. In a conscious mind, do you remember what I spoke? The conscious one will not allow it to penetrate into it. The consciousness of the mind If it is turned to the consciousness, what happened? The thought waves forms are kept separately from the mind and allows it to go off, not allowing the mind to absorb it. To do that, the mind should not have any requirement, otherwise it will immediately jump and catch it. Like the waves on the ocean, we can never penetrate to the depths of ocean. Never. Whatever heavy it is, whatever tsunami it is, whatever may be the intensity of it, they are all superficial only, not at the bottom of the ocean. There is not even an iota of difference there. Absolute no disturbances there, you see, because it doesn't get attracted to or attached to any of these external attractions and attachments and desires and then disturbances. In an ocean, when I take a real ocean, why the ocean, bottom of the ocean doesn't get attracted to the external objects is because of its depth from them. Because that means the distance from them. When you keep far from something, you don't get attracted to it. So, don't get affected by that. Surface of the ocean is always attracted and attached to any of the external calamities. Tsunami is also that. Let it be, whatever may be the intensity, the bottom should not get affected. Same way, in Tanu Manasa, whatever may be that, that mind says, loses its states for objects of the world and becomes intensely immersed in the knowledge of the soul, where it is absolutely firm, connected with the Antakarana and the Antaratma. When the mind loses the intensity of, or mind loses the taste for the objects or the emotions, automatically a non-agitative mind will never be a cause of obstacle for an absolute knowledge or meditation. Our knowledge is wavered only because of the mind getting attached into these thought waves of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, makes the knowledge also not understandable by the mind and the indriyas and the system. Even though the consciousness is absolute and the consciousness is there in every cell of the body, there is consciousness. Otherwise it cannot function. Each and every cell of the body there is consciousness. These consciousness which are connected, which are basically normally connected to the highest realm of the Parabrahman, are getting distorted and disturbed because of the intermediary mind who transmits Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha into these cells of consciousness. And they get confused. So whichever is easier, whichever is superficial, whichever is surfaced, is immediately attractable and attached. That's always there, isn't it? First come, first served. The one who is above. There is a heap of chocolates kept. If you go run there, children, they do whatever is on the top first. Nobody puts the hand inside and takes the bottom. Right? The self mind is like that. Whatever is superficial, it is attached, because it has to grab immediately. It sinks, otherwise it loses its charge. So whatever is seen, whatever is available, it's immediately taken. You see. It doesn't go into the depth of it, whether it is necessary or not. Is why Dhanu Manasa, the mind loses its taste. When in a stage of fourth stage, when we reach there, where the unqualified ego is already has been created in us. I mean, we have reached the status of unqualified ego. The taste for any of these things will not be there, should not be there. He is immersed, he says he is immersed in the knowledge of the soul. Atma, what is immersed in the knowledge of the soul? Atma Sakshatkaram. Atma Sakshatkaram, be in the Atma Sakshatkaram, in the Brahma Sakshatkaram. He sees the whole requirement is fulfilled by his self alone. Everything is in him, there is plenty. It's not that he is starving for the external, or he has just rejected intentionally the external objects. Like physically, I told you, Nachiketa said, I don't want any of these things. Doesn't mean that he has rejected them. We have to understand a little more on this, because these are subjects which has got depth. Why do we have an attachment or a taste towards a material? We have an attachment or attraction or desire to acquire that material in order to bhogam. That means to experience that, you see. Bhoga. That's called bhoga. Yoga and bhoga. Bhoga, in the bhoga chakras we used to say, and bhoga is to experience it, analyze it, identify it, find out what is the quality, whether I can use it or not, how can I use it, in which all manners I can use it, whether I can use it for spiritual development, or it remains only this, or this, that. Mind doesn't know that these are the qualities that is available in the object. So when it has got an ignorance of that, so the mind has got an attraction and attachment towards that object to experience it in order to have the bhoga, in order to taste it. The one which is not tasted, what we say, that which is not tasted. So let me taste it first, whether I like it or not. So you taste it. If you like it, you consume it. That liking is there or not, how you are liking it, that means that why the mind is going behind the objects is only because it is looking, this I have already told in many ways, that it is looking for pleasures in that. It is looking for results in that. It is looking for Brahman in that object, let me call it that way. It can be that also. Somebody who wants looking spirituality, he will look for doing puja alone, doing Dhyanam alone. He says that if I get to do Dhyanam, I will get punyam. If I get punya, I will go to Swarga, I will meet the God. Something like that. But he does Dhyanam only for the purpose of, I think this is what I said. So the mind is attracted to any of object you measures only to promote the mind into the reality or the truth, which he doesn't know because of the ignorance. He doesn't know that he is getting attracted to only material waste. It's only material waste. Nachiketa, when he rejected the whole pleasures and the comforts and boons that has been provided by Acharya, by the Dharmaputra, by Dharmi Yamaraj, the great Guru, when he told him, it's not that he did not accept them as worthy, even though I said it is not worthy. He said it's not worthy for me. It doesn't mean they are not worthy, they are worthy for someone else, but it's not worthy for me. In the sense, I do not have any taste for that, because why I don't have taste? I have seen enough of them. They are not good for my purpose of attainment of knowledge. They are all meant for pleasures of Sharira and Mana, what you are talking. They are good. They are good for pleasures of Mana and Sharira, not good for attainment of the immersing the soul into the knowledge. I would like to immerse the soul into the knowledge. Do you have that solution with you so that I can immerse myself into that? That is worth for me, nothing else. The taste comes only because I do not know about it. One is that in materialistic way, one is that I do not know the taste, so I want to know the taste. Second is I know the taste, so I continue tasting that. I must get fed up one day. No more taste on that. The most precious thing that one wanted to eat and had been eating at one point of time, he says that I used to have it, but today I really hate. Why? He's experimenting on that. It's finished. He had been experimenting on that because he had been eating. He is thinking that every time he eats, he thinks he may find something from there. No? From that taste, he can evolve something. He can invent something. He can uplift himself. He can get an idea. He can get a promotion. He can get this. He can get that. So keep on tasting. Let me keep on tasting it because it tastes nice. So long I am feeling nice, that means when do you feel nice? This also I have told number of times earlier. When you are not fulfilled. When that desire is fulfilled, you won't feel nice anymore. No? That fulfillment is not there. So Nachiketa said, I have got the fulfillment of it. I am not attracted to any of this. It doesn't give me any taste of it, any attraction towards that. So, hey Bhagavan, please show me that path. This is what exactly Tanu Manasa. Restriction of the mind from those attachments and attractions, and identify and understand, be firm and understand that my inquiry is only for identifying the intense immersing the knowledge into the truth. This corresponds to the later states of Savitarka and Nirvitarka samadhis. These are the later parts where we have described in Savitarka and Nirvitarka. We are already done it in the first instance. What are Savitarka and Nirvitarka? Which state was that? Which was the status? Savitarka and Nirvitarka.
First and
Which is first and second? First level and second level. They are the later part of Savitarka and Nirvitarka is a place where the mind should already get devoided from the attachment and attraction and be isolated and fulfilled. Isolation is not that rejecting it forcefully, not accepting it. Accepting it, it is good, but I don't need it. It's called the renunciation process. That status is, if I say it is not necessary or it's not good, but I don't want it, mind will always have an attraction towards it because I have not tasted it. So I would like to taste it. Having tasted it, should be renounced. Fourth, the stage of 4, Swamiji explains, Sattvapatti. Sattvapatti is purity of mind. We have described about purity of mind in the, I think, last class very extensively. I don't know if you could get a glimpse of that and catch it. properly or not, but I have told about the purity of mind in the last class. All mental modifications are reduced to identification with the self. This corresponds to Sananda and Sasmita. That's why I said. I have already told you in the what is that? Sattopatti, or purity of the mind. What is purity of mind? I told you that transparency of mind. Where only reflection can be there, it doesn't turn itself into any object, not attracted to that. The mind is attracted to something, the mind becomes that. When I am emotional on a particular cause, I become that emotion and that cause. I never try to find out a solution or a solution for that cause or for emotion. I do not find any. I also do not try to identify, understand, to resolve that problem caused by the cause and the emotion. When one is angry, he keeps on getting angry on that cause which has caused the anger. So the anger and the cause keep on playing in the mind. So the mind becomes that cause and anger, but it never identifies the solution for coming out of anger. When I get into an emotion, I become that emotion. I don't find a solution for that. That's why the great saints are saying, emotions, let it come. Even the saints will get the emotion. It's the nature of the Prakriti. It's a Prakriti nature. It's Prakriti. Emotions will come. When the emotion comes, immediately your attention, your mind, if the mind is not allowing the thought waves coming inside, if the consciousness is above that and taking care of it, the thought waves of that emotion and the cause will be absorbed in the consciousness, and the reflex of the consciousness will be attracted by the mind, and mind looks for the solutions for that, or the remedies for that, or solutions for that, or solving that whatever is necessary, not getting attracted to the waveform. The one who gets attracted to the waveform, he remains in the waveform. Didn't get it? You all have seen the sea. You all have seen the ocean. You all have seen the waves. People who know, we know swimming, so I have gone inside. Once you go inside in the sea wave, when the waves are there, when you are standing, when the wave may be 2 meters high, it doesn't make any difference. When the waves come, what you have to do? Just go down below. The waves are always on top, no, and it passes off and you come, you are not affected by that. Isn't it? The boats and all that, they will go up and come. The swimmers or the people who are standing there, what you have to do is that you have to go down so that the waves go up, and again you come up. That's all. Immediately. It doesn't take much time. So this is how you avoid the waves. Mind should avoid the wave, thought waves, sinking into consciousness. Let it pass off. Come to the consciousness again. He finds a solution on that. He doesn't get attracted to or attached to the waves, thought forms into that same way. It has to be done. You can watch the swimmers doing it. They go in, waves come up, and again you can see them there. If you are there on top, what happens? You are thrown out. You are no more there. If mind is entangled into that wave form of thought, mind is thrown out along with the wave. He is stuck with the wave. That's all. This is how it happens. This is how Sattopatti is said. So in Sattopatti, purity of mind can be kept only by this practice. That means the mind should not have any intention to get attached to or attracted to the waves that are coming. It will keep on, they are waves, that's why it is known as the thought waves. The thought waves are those, they keep on coming. In the Prakriti, it is constantly there. Let that constance in the Prakriti be there. They are meant for something else. They are caused because of something else, and they are meant for something else, but the mind should not get attracted to them. The waves are caused because of these things. There is a cause, there is a cause and effect. There is a causal body for a thought. There is a cause for the thought. Let that cause will definitely create the thought waves. There is no doubt about it. And it keeps on happening, it will keep on happening. You cannot avoid it. You can only avoid not getting attached to it, attracted to it. Is why Nachiketa said, Bhagwan, I don't want any of this. I want the path. Show me the light. Show me the path and show me the light. That's good enough. Hey Mahaguru. That's the fourth stage, no? Sattopatti. So the purity of the mind has to be constantly maintained. Not that, no, sometimes. Not that. Constantly maintained. Because when the intention of sinking into the knowledge of the soul, the realization, automatically all other tastes and attachment and attraction for the mind will not be there. For a tapasvi or a maharishi or a jnani, you may, an ordinary man, when he looks at him, it may appear, oh, he also has got attachment, attractions and desires and all that. They are superficial, absolutely. He is linked and connected with the absolute Brahman always throughout. He is not attached with those waves, they are all traveling above him. Fifth status is Asamshakti. Here Maharishi, the Swami says, Asamshakti, he describes it as detached state. Asamshakti as detached state. I told you, not detachment, status of detached. Nachiketa's status was detached. I don't like any of this. I don't want any of this. They are all good. Detached state, Asamshakti. The meditator is unaffected by anything in the world due to his knowledge of the self. Why? Because his knowledge. What is the knowledge? Knowledge is that they are not necessary for me. I don't need them at all. They are not meant for me. It's not necessary. They won't help me in order to reach my status where I am supposed to go. Is that Asamshakti, the status of detached. Sixth level is this a very Asamshakti is a very difficult state. It's not that easy as we know the word meaning. A detached state is very, very difficult state, because fifth layer is a state where the Maharishis and Tapasvis stay for long and come back as we used to tell about rebirth and reincarnation. Fifth layer only, from fifth layer, a man who reaches the detached state only, he reincarnates. There is no attachment. That's why he is known as reincarnation. After reincarnation, just a push of little practices makes him on the sixth and seventh. Sixth layer is absolutely a silent layer, which is seventh is the prajna. So the sixth layer is Padartha Bhanava. Padartha Bhanava. Knowledge of the truth is what he has described. Swamiji says the meaning is knowledge of the truth. Karma is almost completed and external things do not appear to exist. Now, if these two happens, knowledge of truth has come. Karma is completed and external things do not appear to be existing. When these two are there, you are in the status of absolute knowledge. This is what the status he is talking about. This also is a very intricate state, difficult state, intricate state to reach. Having reached there, then it is in the... When he reaches there, then there is no reincarnation also. Padartha Bhanava is a state where absolute knowledge has come. There is no karma, there is no existence, there is no material, there is no world. It's nothing like that. So he is in that state where he is in the magnetic field of Brahma Tattva, Brahman. He will not fall down. He will be only taken up from the sixth layer. It is like that. From that magnetic fifth layer, he can come here, he can go there. Both can be done. The ones who decides to come back, he comes back, experiences, then goes to that. Otherwise, somebody from there itself, the once you go to sixth layer, then the pull is only towards that. There is no gravity from here. Nothing. Something like that. Just to understand. Where? Why? Because there is no karma to be done. There is no existence there. There is no external existence. There are no external objects. Nothing is there for him. The seventh status is Turiya. Turiya Avastha, we said. Trigunatita will reach the Turiya Avastha, we used to say. These are all falls under the Trigunas when you analyze it. Either they are Tamo, Rajo or Sato Gunas. All of them. That's why when we describe about the Gunas, that who are above the Gunas, Trigunas, Gunatita status is called Turiya Avastha. Turiyam means that, what is the meaning of Turiyam? It is not like Sato, Rajo or Tamo. Turiyam means nothing. It's that status. So nothingness. That good for nothing, no? Turiya was the state of liberation. That's Turiyam. Nothingness. The yogi sees God everywhere. Here the God is Brahman everywhere. He does not perform action. No yogis perform action, not necessary. For this state is of short duration, while the body and the sheaths are completely burnt. Turiya Avastha. It's a short duration while the body and sheaths are completely burnt. That means total emergence or merging to the Brahman takes place. After burning out this Turiya, one remains in Turiya Avastha only for a short while. There it burns, everything burns, and the ultimate layam takes place. This is what I used to tell about the seventh layer means, merging with that. This is the seventh. This is also, of course, definitely state very difficult for normal human beings. Now he says about the Asamprajnaata samadhi begins. Now, where the Asamprajnaata samadhi begins? The Asamprajnaata samadhi begins with the fifth stage of consciousness. Which is the fifth stage we have already told. Asam Shakti is the fifth stage. From there it begins. The Asamprajnata. Till then it is the Samprajnata Samadhi only, the later part of it. That's all. and is characterized by an absence of thought waves. Because from the fifth only, the thought waves are absolutely absent, because that's why it is known as a detached state. In fifth layer, Asam Shakti is a detached state where absence of thought waves are there. It is known as the fifth stage of consciousness. If thought waves are disturbing you, so you should not misunderstand, it's the fifth stage. It is still, we are in the Savitark or Dharmitark or what is it? Sananda and Sasmita. So, Bhagavan says here, when the thoughts waves are active, they manifest as samskaras or impressions in the mind. When thought waves are active, they remain as manifestation, as samskaras. Naturally, we constantly having a particular thought and particular action, it will become a samskara, a civilization we call it, or a samskara. Also, we also call it as samskara, what they say, culture. It becomes a culture, because constantly one is practicing that only. That becomes a culture. A particular cult will having certain characteristics of practices, they will think that is the samskara of that, because it's constantly in the mind. None of them are to be accepted for the Brahma Tattva, Brahma Jnana. That's why you will find all these practices what many people are doing, with all those ideas and beliefs and thoughts and things like that. Do this, do that, do that, do that. None of them will reach you the liberation to attain the Brahman. That's all. They are all good in a different way, but they won't reach you to the truth. They won't reach you to the Brahma Jnana or Brahma Tattva, or you can't call yourself as a liberated soul. They can also exist in the passive state. Even if you do not practice them in the right way, if you do not understand them in the passive way, they will remain in a passive state. In many of them, they remain. At a point of time, again, come like a seed hidden somewhere, and when the rain comes, you can see the next morning, they are all sprouted out. When one meditates in Asamprajnaata, which corresponds to the fourth stage of the consciousness, the waves are stilled, but not absent. Stilling the mind, he said, in the fourth stage. Lurking deep in the subconscious, they will eventually emerge as desires. They are like seeds placed in the jar. Although temporarily dormant, they retain the potential for future germination. That should not happen. That's why out of compulsion some people take sannyasa. Running away from certain things. They are all having these seeds, dormant in them. It will come up on you. That's why you can find many of them, they have taken sannyasa, then they turned out to be somebody or other, XYZ smugglers of weapon and this, that, orders. Then we all see that why he is a Swami and he is doing this. He has got all the knowledge. Ravana is like that. Great Jnani, he knows everything. But what happened? That instinct of that seed was there inside. So whenever that greed has come, it gets sprouted out. For this reason, a person in the fourth stage will never achieve liberation while in that stage. So let us not misunderstand. Just by stilling the mind, not attached to the thoughts, and purification of mind, has been practiced and doing it is not enough. You have to cross to the Asamprajnaata samadhi. Then only this is possible. But otherwise what happens? He is also in danger of toppling from whatever height he has reached. Not that he will continue from there in the next Janma. As far as this case is concerned, he has to start from the Samprajnaata samadhi again, from stage 1. He topples down from there. There is a possibility if he is not properly doing it. No matter how high one goes, the possibility of slipping always lies in wait. The fourth stage is like a spiritual mountain peak. One cannot perch eternally on top of it. No, it's not possible. Until nature and conscious concentration are transcended and seedless, Asamprajnaata samadhi is reached, there is a danger of falling. So you cannot be standing on the fourth stage and retire from there. If you retire, you will fall down. That is what happens to many people who are not being guided properly for the purpose of Asamprajnaata samadhi by the guide or guru. That's why the guru is necessary. We misunderstand the qualified ego as unqualified ego. We misunderstand that because it appears to be absolutely unqualified ego. It appears, but it is qualified. We have to understand that. This real knowing can come only by the Shastras and by the Dhyanam. After knowing this, when you meditate, automatically this is all inherent. It's not that while meditating you will think what I have read. No. That's why while reading and while learning, while being in the class, you have to be absorbing them. This is already told. No, they're not listening. That's why I said, again I repeat, don't try to understand, is what I said, remember. Just be that. So, when you have that capacity to perceive it in the right sense, what happens? They remain in you. So, in status of meditation, automatically it comes. And fourth stage is a temporary stage where you cannot remain for too long. Either you have to go down or you have to go up. So in the fourth stage what happens? You have to cross to the Asamprajnaata samadhi. Then you come to the fifth stage of the Asamprajnaata samadhi automatically. When you come to the fifth stage, the stability is there. Only thing you can reincarnate in order to gain more experience and go back. There also it is safer because you will not be falling down to Samprajnaata. When you reincarnate, you will be in the fifth stage, and after experiencing, you will go to fifth, then immediately go to sixth. There's no falling down takes place. Is what Swamiji here trying to explain us. It takes great strength and control to achieve the superconscious state. Without adequate preparation, it is easy to be overpowered by lethargy. One can be deceived into thinking that it is samadhi, just as a little backache is sometimes mistaken as the awakening of Kundalini. A person is asleep and one who is experiencing superconscious appear to be the same state. The energy at its lowest level resembles energy at its highest level. Sometimes in the sleep also one experiences many things. Since you should remember that the energy at the lowest level is also resembles to be the energy at its highest level. When the fan is not rotating, it is static, you can, it's static like that. When it's going in a very fast, when it is moving, then also you will see that it is static, it is not moving. Same way, or when the darkness is there, you can't see. When there is brighter light than the eyes can perceive, then also it is dark, you can't see. In both cases, so in the lowest form or the highest form, it appears to be same, so one should not misunderstand that it is that. So many people can do that. So don't do that, he says. Extremes are very much alike. That's what he says here. Darkness cannot be seen, neither can extreme light. In the extreme lethargy, there are no activities or desires. That should be a lethargic person. Doesn't have anything. It is not Asamprajnaata samadhi. Person who is sleeping does not want to eat, make money, or go to parties. Desires are absent. It is the same with Asamprajnaata samadhi. In Asamprajnaata samadhi, it is consciously done. There it is unconscious. Although in this state of height of awareness, one wants neither sensual or sexual experiences. The only difference is that in deep sleeps there are still seeds in the jar, and the next morning they will sprout as desires. And the mind is empty and the thought waves and impressions are completely gone. It is a seedless Asamprajnaata samadhi. No seeds are left to manifest in the form of desires or tendencies. Tendency have the power to create. Who made one person male, another female. One's own thought impressions are responsible. The soul is neither male or female. When the mind begins acting and wants to behave like a woman, it creates a suitable body for those tendencies. As long as there are thought impressions and tendencies, there will be more reincarnations. Tendency of ego itself must be broken down for it to illusion. Maya projects qualities onto individual, and he thinks that he is tall, fat, man, woman, talented, dull, etc. When all such ideas, good and well and evil, have been overcome, the soul stands alone. Asamprajnaata samadhi is that state of merging with the absolute which is beyond knowledge. Remember I told you, at a point of time, knowledge is not identified. Any objective experience is knowledge. That one sees Krishna, he knows Krishna is Dvaita Siddhantam, Samprajnaata samadhi. One knows Krishna, then as Samprajnaata samadhi. One sees Krishna, one knows Krishna. Objective experience and subjective experience. That's beyond knowledge. Then there is no more seed and nothing can touch you. I told you that. I had explained earlier also that depending upon our own karmas and desires, and one decides to be born, you only decide yourself to be born as XYZ, whichever manner it is, and you take that shape and form. Your sharira also is designed by you when you were there. Depending on that, you design your sharira also, and through that you experience whatever experiences are you supposed to have. Man who is short, he wants to experience through that body. Man who is tall, who wants to experience is the body. That's all. So he has designed it. No, there's no point. One, like he said, man, woman, and all that. This is also explained in Garuda Puran. I remember I told you how one is born and what are the activities, including your shape of organs, like eyes, nose, and ears, and all that. No, how is it? What is a saintly person's desires and look? What is his eyes look like? Saintly person. How his forehead will be. How his desires will be. Whether he is, he will be incapable of certain physical activities of manifestation done by a normal human being. He will not be able to do it, perform it. But he is a saint because he wants to have that saintly experience again in him, so he would like to detach it from the other activities. Like that, each and everything, When you look at the eyes of a person who is saintly and who has Asamprajnaata samadhi, you can see the depth in it. You can travel through it. Once you concentrate, then only you do it. It's very difficult. No, you won't. They will not keep the eyes open. No, they will close the eyes. Looking at the third eye, you can find out. No? Looking at the throat, you can find out. Looking at heart chakra can be identified. Looking at the middle of the palm, you can. There are indications now where these are the areas where you can identify. It will be exactly as that saintly or Asamprajnaata, the one who has reached the fifth layer and above. They are the ones who can be identified as. But one has to know exactly how it is to be identified. They are there. But others also who are reborn, also they are born according to their wish of experience of karma that they have to execute through that vehicle. I would like to, somebody wants to travel in the jeep, another wants to travel in a car, another wants to travel in a cycle. Many people who have got cars, would like to, every day morning they would like to cycle. He wants to experience that. Karma is like that. You may be capable, but you would like to experience through that. Like this, everything is so. This is this. So our intention creates our intention. How our intention? That's why he spoke about the culture or the samskara. He said a constant behavior of thought formed by the mind will turn that into a culture or a samskara. That samskara will make it, multiply it, and will make you experience that, and that intention will be there while you are dying, and that desire will carry forward and come back again. This is why this happens. So it is very important to understand the knowledge, understand the Dhyanam of Brahmatattvam, Brahmajnanam, and identify the necessity of releasing ourselves from all these attachments. Be neutral. And then those forms should not be attached by the mind, should be reached in the detached state. That's the fifth stage, detached status, Asamshakti. In Asamshakti status, detached state happens. When detached state happens, the thought forms will not bother you or will not attract you. When that comes, then your travel journey towards the Brahman is ensured. No more falling back happens. This needs total dedication, devotion, shraddha and bhakti, absolute faith as I told you, and good practices as it has been told. Suppose there then you have, your intelligence should not work. Oh, why not I do this and so that I can reach faster? Why not I do this, try this also? Why not I try this also? Then you will become a spiritual vyapari. 19th shloka he said, Avapratyayo videha pragatilayanam. Avapratyayo videha pragatilayanam. Asamprajnaata samadhi may be attained by birth in those who have previously achieved bodilessness or merging with the Prakriti. One who has reached, same thing I told you about, he has reached the fifth stage. When he wants to take a rebirth, we call it as reincarnation. When he is reincarnated, he is born in that stage, Asamprajnaata samadhi. Great people, many of the saints are born like that. The highest state of samadhi is not achieved in one lifetime. It takes many incarnations to make the innumerable fine adjustments necessary for God realization. Many who do reach Asamprajnaata samadhi have done the major part of their work in the previous lives, return only to attain the final goal. Some have already reached the level of Deva, may have progressed as far as merging with the Prakriti, with meditation, elements of nature, and so on, so on, so on. In either case, merging with the self is all that remains to be achieved. So these are the importance of it. For others, higher state is reached through sincere lifelong application. For those who are not born as saints, as well as through past life efforts. That's it. You always have told this. Shraddha Virya Smriti Smadhi Prajna Purvaka Itaresha. Shraddha Virya Smriti Samadhi Prajna Purvaka Itaresha. That means for others, Asamprajnaata Samadhi is attained through faith, energy, recollection, and keen awareness. For others, the highest state is reached through sincere lifelong application, as well as through past life efforts. Faith is the firm conviction that the truth exists, that it can and will be attained. With this basic positive attitude, failure is impossible. Energy or will is the drive that carries one along the path, bouncing back after failures and maintaining courage through difficult times. Recollection is past spiritual samskaras rising to the surface of the mind and reinforcing the seeker's journey to his goal. Keen awareness is focused application of the mind. The intense intellectual input that is necessary for merging with the Supreme. Now, this activity has to be guided by the Guru. You have to bring back your past life experience where you have left. From there you begin. Then you are allowed to continue with that. This can be done only by the Guru. Even though it has not been told here, he tells somewhere he has told that. But then what happens? Then that is why we do this. We have done past life regressions. That is only for removing those which were bothering you in your karmas. Helps you in executing your karma in this life. We have to undergo the process of past life awakening. Now, we did past life regression. That's meant for everybody in order to heal themselves. Practically it is healing. Now past life awakening has to be done. This can be done only by the Guru. Through the teachings and also through meditation, what happens? That is why I told that on this last time I wanted to do this to you all. When we programmed for meditation, I wanted to do this one. So through this what happens? You are awakened from where you have left, and from there you begin. Recollection of the past spiritual samskaras rising to surface of the mind, so that reinforcing the seeker's journey to the. But one has to be ready, otherwise one will not be able to do it. That's why I said one has to be ready. So the mind has to listening. The mind has to have taste of that alone. Then it is easier to bring it out immediately. See, that's possible. So, he is also talking many things how to do that. Tivra samvegaram asannaha. Tivra samveganam asannaha. Liberation comes quickly when the desire for it is intense, naturally. Stronger the desire, liberation from the bondage of the world, the sooner will that great goal reached. The more you have bondage to this world, more you have attachment to the material life. It cannot go side by side. It's not possible. Two trains cannot travel. Only in the movies you can see that. There's a robbery in there. Have you seen that train robbery? And that man who is an expert will say that control room, both the trains should travel at 80 km speed. One also should not move. Both should go same. So that he will travel from this train and then he can slowly come here. Life में नहीं होता है. That's why there are so many rail accidents nowadays, traveling together. Tivra samvegana, tivrata. That is that intense desire has to be there. Too much of attachment to worldly objects and pleasures and desires, attachments cannot go together with this. That has to end, and this should begin. It cannot go side by side because they are totally different. One has to finish. Then only this can start. So stronger the desire, the more desire. Madhu madhyadi matramatvat tato api visheshaha. Desire for liberation can be mild, moderate or intense depending upon your practice and desire. Ishvara pranidhana dva. Ishvara pranidhanam, dependency on the Lord, and total faith and bhakti and shraddha on the Lord. Ishvaratva. While Purusha, Brahman on the self is the abstract view of the Lord of his pursuit, absolute from. Ishvara is a God as seen with attributes such as love, kindness, mercy, omniscience and so forth. Because the human mind is too limited to focus on abstractions, most people focus on his manifested form of Ishvara. In Western tradition, he is referred as God and so and so. In the Indian tradition, he is related to so many names and forms. The samadhi comes most quickly as those who place themselves in the consciousness of the God, however they see him. That is, they have devotion, dedication and self-surrender. Ishvara is immortal self, Purusha with the form. He is perceived as being, and yet he is totally untouched by the ignorance and unhappiness, the law of cause and effect and craving. For him, the opposites of phenomenal worlds such as pleasure, pain do not exist. We understand this. Tatra niradishayam sarvajna bijam. In him lies the seed of omniscience. God or Ishvara is not just all-knowing, but is as all knowledge, or not all-knowing, so it's all knowledge itself. In uniting, that's why we call Bhagavan Shiva as Jnana Murti. All knowledge itself, not knowing. Him the highest knowledge is obtained. This does not refer to intellectual knowledge, but also the knowledge of the entire universe through the eye of the wisdom and the intuition, not intellectual knowledge. Sa Purusha maybe Guruhu Kalena va Achhedat. The highest teacher is the self, Purusha. All ancient sages realize themselves. While they may have had earthly teachers, the source of their vast knowledge was not on this plane. Living in the superconscious state, they had direct access to the truth, that knowledge which is absolute. Tasya Vachaka Pranavam. Om is another Vachaka. Pranavam is the Vachaka. By chanting Om and meditating Om that means the Dhwani has to keep on haunting you and keeps on chanting from inside. Not that you are chanting Om, but Om should be there everywhere. That's it. So through that also it has been told, a lot of descriptions are there. Through these vibrations, one can attain the highest form of energy, and Om contains within itself all languages, all thoughts. It is primal vibration and divine power. Tat javastat artha bhavanam. Constant repetition of Om and meditation on its meanings will also gain all these benefits. So it goes like that. He has given a lot of importance to Om. The 37th shloka says that Vitaraga Vishayam Yachittam. Here before that he says you have to Vishokava Jyotishmatihi. Various options have been given. The concentration of the internal state of luminescence which is beyond sorrow, one can reach there. Here he says, or by fixing the mind on one who has transcended human passions and attachments. You can also, how to meditate on. You can meditate on Om, you can meditate on form and shape of God, you can meditate on the any Shakti, you can meditate on sound, you can meditate on light. There's various meditations, and he also is another option. He says that is Vidaraga Vishayam Chavichitam. Another highly regarded object of meditation. The others are normal. So highly regarded meditative meditation is a saint or a sage who has attained liberation. You can also concentrate on one who has attained liberation, because the one who has attained liberation is equivalent to Brahman only. So the one Brahmajnani, that's what I also used to tell you. Through on a Brahmajnani, you can a picture of an inspiring soul. Also, he may be focused on neither visually nor mentally. You can visually, you can also mentally or visually can and then meditate on that. You can do. In case of necessity, he is given the objects, Lord, in any form, energy in any form, or the consciousness in any form, sound, light. Then this is saint and the sant, rishis and maharishis and gurus actually. So that's it. Then many times of the truth is revealed by the superconscious during sleep, and sometimes in the deep sleep. You remember I told you about deep sleep. Some truths are available, but invariably we don't remember that next day morning. That's it. Because it is not happening in the conscious level. That what is in the conscious level, all rubbish, we will remember next day. He assures we have seen something, but I am not getting it. We all must have experienced that. That is from the superconscious level. That is the status we have to reach. There, absolute truth will be there. Okay, now let me turn. Many things are not necessary, so I want to avoid all this. We will finish and then start our. Then he writes about. I don't know whether I should read all this to you. He writes about many practices, like. Like he says, by performing samayama on the sun comes knowledge of the world. Like you do the Surya Namaskaram, you focus on the sun, rising sun. These are practices. I don't know whether is it necessary to, at this stage we should learn this. I mean, should I tell you this? Other mental factors which are not the subject of samyama cannot be known. Samyama by focusing on that, where we are trying to not focus on many of the things, focus on only very limited things and going for the Dhyanam, whether these are, he has described it for those people who would like to practice from the beginning. They can do all this, like focusing on the sun, focusing on the light, focusing on the lightning, focusing on a cloud, focusing on the water, undisturbed water, the still water. Like that, there are various means by which you gain certain benefits out of it. I have told you also during my Reiki class also must have. If you do constant meditation on sun, keep on the rising sun, you will gain the powers, and then you have tested, turn back, and if a cow is walking there, you ask the cow to lie down. After meditation, turn back and see, say lie down, he will lie down. It will come down. He listens to the instructions, you are able to lie. Some branch of the tree fall down, it will fall down. This can happen. These powers can be gained by this meditation on the sun. Shakti, power, you will get that. But these are all meant for siddhis and other things. But he recommends one should not. Yes, somewhere he has told that whatever may be the reason that one should not get, it is an obstacle for. There is in one chapter he is telling experience of meditation, and another is that obstacle for meditations. He says that siddhis are, if one doesn't understand about the siddhis, they become the obstacle for meditation. Okay, we stop here. We'll see what is to be done next. Om Shanti. Shambho.